Am I the jerk for refusing to let my in-laws move into my house? My mother-in-law just told me she's always secretly hated my cooking and preferred my husband's ex-girlfriend. And now, after 20 years of marriage, they want to move in. My husband, Mark, 45, and I have a comfortable life. We own a nice 4-bedroom house in the suburbs and have 2 kids, Sarah, 16, and Tom, 14. His parents, Carol, 70, and George, 72, live a few states away in a smaller, older house. Things were always okay. Not particularly close, but civil. Then came the incident. It started subtly. More frequent phone calls, initially from Carol, asking about our empty nest. Sarah and Tom are hardly ever home. Then came the pointed questions about the local real estate market and how easy it would be to sell their place. Mark brushed it off, saying they were just getting older and thinking about the future. I wasn't so sure. The tension ratcheted up during Thanksgiving. We hosted, as usual. Carol kept making passive-aggressive comments about the cranberry sauce, how it wasn't quite like her Martha Stewart recipe, and how Amy, Mark's old girlfriend, used to make a wonderful one. I bit my tongue. I really did. But by the time dessert rolled around, I was ready to explode. Things escalated during the annual Christmas Eve dinner. Mark's sister, Lisa, and her family were also there. Carol started complaining about the cost of their property taxes and how difficult it was to maintain their home. George, bless his heart, tried to steer the conversation to something else, but Carol was relentless. Then, during a lull in the conversation, she dropped the bomb. We've been thinking, she announced, looking directly at Mark and me, about selling our house and moving closer to you. Maybe even, moving in for a while, until we find a place. The silence was deafening. Mark choked on his wine. Lisa's jaw dropped. Sarah and Tom looked at each other, clearly confused. I, however, had had enough. I plastered on a fake smile and said, Carol, that's sweet. But Mark and I aren't really in a position to have anyone move in with us. We value our space. She looked genuinely shocked. But honey, she said, her voice dripping with condescension, it would just be temporary. And think of all the help we could be. We could cook, clean, help with the kids. Mom, Mark interjected, his face pale. We haven't even discussed this. And honestly, I don't think it's a good idea. That's when Carol went nuclear. Well, I never. After all we've done for you, Mark. And you, my name, are always so busy. I thought you could use the help. Besides, I've always felt your cooking was lacking. Amy made a far superior Christmas ham, you know. I stood up, my hands shaking. That's it, Carol. I'm not going to listen to this anymore. If you can't be respectful in my house, then maybe you should leave. She scoffed. Fine. We'll leave. And don't expect us to come back anytime soon. They stormed out, George trailing behind them, looking utterly defeated. The aftermath has been messy. Mark is torn. He feels obligated to help his parents, but he also knows how stressful it would be for all of us if they moved in. Lisa is on my side, saying that Carol has always been manipulative. Sarah and Tom are just confused and want everyone to get along. Mark and I have barely spoken for the last week. He keeps saying I was too harsh on his mother. I think he's afraid of upsetting her, even at the expense of my feelings and our family's peace. The truth is, I don't dislike them, but they are set in their ways and very critical. Having them in my home would mean constant judgment and a complete loss of privacy. My anxiety has been through the roof since the dinner. The thought of them actually living here makes me want to run away. I keep replaying the conversation in my head, wondering if I could have handled it differently. Maybe I should have been more diplomatic, more understanding. Maybe I should have just said yes and then figured out how to make it work. But the thought of Carol's judging eyes, the constant comparisons to Amy, the cramped living quarters, it makes me shudder. I just don't think I can do it. So, was I wrong for doing this?